Did you guys get a good look at the thumbnail? I feel like I should reference that before I really get into it today, because I know a lot of people might just be scrolling down through YouTube and they see I uploaded a video, they might just click on it without actually taking a good solid look at the thumbnail, like, oh, Tekking's making a video on the 3 great powers today, okay, click. But here it is again, in case you didn't get a good look the first time. Do you spy something? So today we're talking about the 3 great powers, the Yonko, the Marines, and the Warlords, right? Actually, the Warlords at the moment are not even really members of the 3 great powers because they were dissolved, so now you have the SSG, and I also wanted to talk about what would actually happen if there was, like, a power vacuum if the Yonko were to, like, be defeated, like Kaido and Big Mom at Wano, so that's what we're going to get into today. But for the thumbnail, I wanted to have a representative from each member of the 3 great powers, okay? So Yonko, I decided Shanks, because come on, he's Shanks. The Marines, you know, Akainu, Sakazuki, he's the fleet admiral, makes sense. But then I was trying to figure out who would be the best warlord to put in the thumbnail, alright, to represent the whole group. And alright, I was leaning on Mihawk, because Mihawk is Mihawk. I even made one alternate version of Mihawk. Boa was always an option because boobs, and people were like, you know, Lord, God, Buggy, we have to put him in there. But then Artur, over at the Library of Ohara, sent me this masterpiece. You understand this is the strongest freaking character in all of One Piece right here, right? You understand you are looking at straight up greatness, you know? We all know Usopp is a god, but this is like one step above that, like God Ascended or something, okay? This is magnifique. I've never seen a more beautiful being in existence until this moment right now. Look at this. We got Jinbei's feet with his mighty wooden clogs. Then we have Weevil's perfectly string bean legs, because apparently Weevil skips leg day. Then we got Moria's bulbous onion gut. Then we have Doflamingo's indestructible feathered boa. And speaking of boa, we have Boa's boobs, which are actually rather practical, because in this amalgamation that we have right here, you're mixing a bunch of devil fruit users and non-users, so I'm not really sure how that would equal out, but you have a flotation device. In fact, you have 2 of them now, so we're all good there. We got Mihawk's sword, Crocodile's mighty hook, Kuma's glove, as well as Law's epically cool hat, and to cap it all off, we have the glorious face, which if all of the warlords were gonna do a combined fusion dance together, you know the face is going to be Lord Buggy with Blackbeard's beard, because, you know, Blackbeard was a member of the Warlords, didn't last for very long, but he was a member. So, Artur-sama, yes, you are truly our one savior for bringing this into existence. Okay, so today, talking about the 3 powers of One Piece. Talked about this earlier. I was doing the video right after Big Mom and Kaido became an alliance. You know, the Marines were really scared of that. They were thinking this is going to be it. If 2 Yonko work together cooperatively, pull all their resources and time and energy, and they can actually cooperate together in a major way, they could take over the world. And you know what? From what we've seen with Kaido being capable of everything, you know, lording over the underworld and all of Wano and in allegiance with Orochi and everything, he has all these smiles, all these artificial fruits, and then you see Big Mom and her entire country and her vast information network. It was stated that pretty much everybody in the world, I mean, out of everybody in the world, out of every pirate at least, I guess the world government would also have a really good information network, but when it comes to the pirates, when it comes to the Yonko, when it comes to a body that is not part of the world government, Big Mom has the largest information body. And she also has the largest, like, actual body. But that's beside the point right now. Okay, the point is that if Kaido and Big Mom work together in perfect unison, and they mobilize their forces in a very smart, tactical way, they could probably wipe out Marijois. They could probably take over the world if they really pushed at it. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, because we've already seen this with Big Mom and Kaido. We've seen them, like, at one moment, they, like, hate each other, like, don't let her land on this island! I'm coming, Kaido! Mama! And then they show up and they fight for a couple of hours and like, oh, we're best friends now. We're gonna work it out somehow. Alright, kids, say hi to your new mom. Glug, glug, glug. You know, so you know that's probably gonna go go south at some point during this arc. You know, it's gonna get to a point at the Fire Festival where they bring out the giant dongo or something, you know. Now the ceremonial giant pot of Oshiruko shall be consumed. And, you know, Big Mom's gonna go crazy and drink the whole damn thing in one gulp, and then Kaido's gonna be like, what the hell, Inland? You can't do that! That's for everybody! Shut up, Kaido! I do what I want! Ah, I knew I couldn't have trusted you! You know, it's gonna be something stupid like that is gonna cause the entire alliance to break down, okay? But I start to think about this because, you know, we don't know how this is going to go. This is setting up to be a massive war that's probably going to be even more intense than Marineford, okay? So let's say, there's a bunch of different ways this can happen, but let's just say right now, at the end of Wano, Kaido and Big Mom are no longer Yonko. Alright, hypothetically. What that means is that could mean they both die, that could mean they are both captured, or rendered at least into a state where they can no longer perform their duties as an emperor. Alright, maybe Kaido gets captured by the Marines and gets carted away. Maybe Big Mom, I don't know, sinks to the bottom of the ocean or something, right? I don't know, but like, let's say that were to actually happen. How it happens is kind of a moot point. What would happen, and what the thing I'm trying to talk about here, is the power vacuum of losing half of the Yonko in one fell swoop, okay? So that's the first thing. So yeah, two Yonko working together, they definitely have the potential to take over the world government and destroy it and like rule the world. But if that vacuum were to be left vacant, then that would just make the world government and the Marines all the more powerful. And even more so because they got rid of the Warlord system. They dissolved the Shichibukai system, which were working under the world government, like privateers, government sanctioned pirates. But that was not even like, it wasn't like the cipher polls. It wasn't like the world government issued orders to the warlords and they obeyed it the same way that CP9 or CPH0 does, okay? We saw that with Doflamingo, we saw that with Crocodile. Basically, I mean, if we're being straight up, the Warlord system at its core was kind of a stupid system, all right? Because there's the warlords could just pretend to be working for the world government. They can wipe out a few pirates to be on the good side and be like, yeah, Crocodile, he saves our island from a bunch of pirates, therefore he's a good guy. When in behind the scenes, he's a freaking Bond villain. We saw all the messed up stuff Doflamingo did, right? So, at its core, it would make sense why they would dissolve the Warlord system in replace for the SSG. Now, the SSG, which is led up by Dr. Vegapunk, who might also have connections to the Revolutionary Army, in fact, almost certainly has connections to the Revolutionary Army, that's going to lead into something else, I'm sure, okay? But it definitely seems like right now, the world government is trying to enact a lot of pressure, like even more so than usual on the world. I think the world government is looking around and the Gorosei, you know, they have their thumb on the pulse of the entire world, essentially. They're looking around and they're saying, all right, this great pirate era is really getting out of hand. Ever since that whole Marineford incident, then Blackbeard showed up and I have 2 devil fruits now. This is starting to get a little bit out of hand, okay? And we saw the Gorosei at Reverie talking about a great cleansing, which I think that happens every couple of centuries. The world government's been in control for about 800 years now. You'd figure every couple hundred of years, you know, another revolutionary army would pop up. Dragon is not the first person to have a monopoly on, like, maybe we should revolt against the world government. You know it's popped up before throughout the centuries. You know people have tried to overthrow the world government. You know people have tried to raid Marijois long before, like, the last, like, 50 years of the story. This has been going on for centuries with the world government. So you figure that. So, whenever the current generation of Gorosei, because I don't believe the Gorosei are like the ones we have right now. I think that's just like a generational thing. I don't think that the Gorosei right now are like immortal beings. Im-sama, on the other hand, that's a different kettle of fish. But when it comes to the current Gorosei, I think that's like, yeah, it's like a generational thing passed down from, you know, world noble to world noble that have like the best aptitude for that kind of stuff, okay? So whenever things start to get really out of hand, like they are right now in the One Piece world, you got Luffy, you got all the other supernovas causing havoc, that's when they do the cleansing, so to speak, to kind of like reset everything back to the way it was, with the world government being in control, like in a supreme way. And then a couple of centuries later, maybe another revolutionary army pops up, like in Dragon in this case, and things start to get really crazy. Now, in recent years, it's been even more difficult because of the Great Pirate Era, because of Roger, and then most recently because of what Blackbeard did at Marineford, and now he's a Yonko, okay? With Marineford and Blackbeard, it was kind of, it kind of resolved itself almost immediately, because Blackbeard had this massive, like multi-layered, faceted plan in order to wipe out Whitebeard, take his Gura no Mi, and then retreat. And then during the Payback War a year later, it was made very, very clear to everybody involved that the Whitebeard crew was no longer like a Yonko status, but the Blackbeard crew really was. So that power vacuum kind of got immediately, you know, replaced with Blackbeard. That's what Blackbeard wanted, okay? But now, well, we have Luffy, who's already being considered a 5th emperor in the world right now. So if Big Mom and Kaido were to be taken out at the same time, I think most of the world would probably just like, well, Luffy was involved in this battle. He wasn't the orchestra. Well, who knows? Who knows? From what we saw at freaking Totland and the way that Stussy construed, you know, Luffy's involvement, Stussy basically figured, oh, Monkey D. Luffy, you know, he comes off as an idiot, but he's actually a mastermind. He was the one behind all this. And then Morgan's printed that story, so who knows? Maybe at the end of freaking Wano, everyone would look to Luffy and be like, Luffy was the cause of all this! Monkey D. Luffy single-handedly through his plans and his machinations took down 2 emperors! But what about the 4th? And, you know, even beyond that, like, let's say you want to make the 4th emperor, I don't know, Law or Kid or somebody. The point is, it would be very unstable. The whole balance of power would be crumbling. Even if it's like, okay, Luffy, Kid, you're the new emperors, take it away. They're still really new, and the world would start to notice, you know, things are shifting and changing. Something very interesting to note about these 3 great powers is before the SSG got involved, 2 of them were, well, like I said with the Warlords, not 100%, but 2 of them were ostensibly under the control of the world government. The Marines most definitely, because these are keep in mind also, these are the 3 greatest military powers in the world. That's the reason why the world government is not considered a 3 great power. We're talking about military factions only. So the Marines are the large military faction that the world government directly controls, but they have their own hierarchy. Then you have the Warlords, which are these 7 strong as hell pirates, you know, gathered together as legally sanctioned privateers. Yes, some of them kind of go off and do their own thing, but at the end of the day, they still, like, summon to Marineford and everything like that. So some of them, like Doflamingo was doing his own thing, but Doflamingo at least went to Marineford. Now, you could say that wasn't really because the world government summoned him. That was more just because Doflamingo was interested personally in the war and to see what would happen and stuff. But then you have other ones, you know, like Kuma, even before his mod. Well, no, because Kuma has connections to the Revolutionary Army. That's kind of what he was doing. So yeah, you think about it a little bit more. It's just like, okay, Mihawk has his own goals. You know, Mihawk probably just showed up because he wanted to clash with some really strong fighters. Doflamingo, kind of the same thing. He was just interested in what was going to happen. Boa had to be kind of forced into going, and also the whole thing with Luffy involved with Boa. You know, Kuma was already kind of an undercover operative for the Revolutionary Army. That's why he showed up, so he had to, like, play along like he was super, super loyal, when in reality, he's probably allied with a completely different group. You know, Moria showed up. Man, what does it really say about your organization when Moria might be the one that's the most loyal to the cause? And even then Moria might have just been more afraid of what would happen if he didn't show, because he was already defeated by Luffy at that point at Thriller Bark, and so the world government might have threatened him, like, Moria, if you don't show up to Marineford, we're just going to strip your status of Warlord. And Moria would be like, what? No, Kishishi, if I lose my status, then I'll just be a pirate again. I won't be able to laze around all day. So that says something about it right there. Just Moria might be your most loyal. So yeah, that's the situation. But on paper, Marines and Warlords both work for the world government. The Yonko do not. The Yonko are not really their own organization. It's just a term for the 4 strongest pirates. It's not like the Yonko get together for meetings or anything like that. So that just proves the level of terror that the Yonko really impose on the world. That 4 of them together were as strong, apparently, with the entirety of the Marine organization, plus the Warlords, or the SSG right now. So, 2 of them lose, and you figure, like, Luffy, if Luffy becomes a legit Yonko, and if everybody accepts him as a Yonko, Luffy's goals and ambitions do not involve, like, wiping out all of the Marines or anything like that. Unless they decided to pick a fight directly with the Straw Hats first, right? So Luffy's not gonna go like, oh, okay guys, we're Yonko now. I'm a Yonko. I'm gonna go take out Marijwa. Luffy's not gonna do that unless something directly got involved, like one of the Straw Hats got kidnapped and got taken to Marijwa or something like that, right? Yeah, you have the whole thing with Sabo, so maybe that might happen too, but we'll see how that goes, right? My point is that the world government is going to take that as a huge advantage. They're going to be like, okay, we can either pull all of our energy at that point. I think, honestly, at that point, the smart thing for them to do, this would probably backfire in the long run, but on the surface, you'd think that the Gorosei would be like, okay, 2 of them are taken out. Our prime goal right now should be to focus all of our attention, not on Luffy, focus all of it on Blackbeard and Shanks. Because those are the 2 kind of members that are the most threatening right now. Blackbeard being more threatening than Shanks, because Blackbeard kind of does want to see the world burn, and Shanks probably also warned the Gorosei of this. But I think the world government's going to kind of bite off a little bit more than they can chew at this point, and be like, hey, this is our perfect opportunity. Let's mobilize the Marines. Let's mobilize this new SSG unit, and let's freaking take out the remaining Yonko, and then we control the world. Yeah, we'll have the supernovas. We'll still have Luffy and Kid and Law and everybody to deal with. But I think the world government still might be underestimating them. The world government might be thinking that, like, okay, Shanks is a huge threat, Kaido's a huge threat, Big Mom's a huge threat, Blackbeard as well. Get rid of all of them, and then it's more of just like sweeping up the remainder after that is the supernovas. And we can handle that. The point is to get rid of the main threats here. And then after the Yonko are wiped out, we don't really need to have a balance of power anymore. It's just the world government will take its rightful place and is controlling everything. Now, what I say by that backfiring in a big way is that the SSG, Vegapunk, he switches that, the pacifistas and turns them on the freaking world government and the Marines. The Marines also have Sword working for them. Sword is an organization I'm feeling the world government and the CPs are not aware of. So yeah, and then of course, underestimating Luffy and the other strong fighters in the world, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, plus, Kid and Law and everybody there. Yeah, I think that would happen. I think the world government might try to, that would actually, I could see that kicking off the final arc of this story. Wano's over, Big Mom and Kaido are taken out, the world government's, alright, now is never, let's begin the cleansing, and then they start, sweeping out all over the world, sending out all the cipher pulls, sending out the SSG, mobilizing all the strongest members of the Marines, head out there, let's do this, let's in one fell swoop, let's make it a world government that controls the entire world, wiping out all pirates, anyone that could even attempt to oppose us, and then it's kind of a big gamble, and they'll end up losing the gamble, but that would lead into this massive fight, okay? So that's definitely something I could see going down there. And the Gorosei, I don't think, the Gorosei are set up to be very intelligent, kind of like these wise elders, and then you also have Eam, who directs them. I could even see them thinking, like, okay, this isn't a guarantee thing. But right now, when, there's an opening in the Yonko, possibly too, that's the best time to strike. That's like strike while the iron is hot sort of thing, right? And it's like, we might be able to come out of this okay or not, but this is the best opportunity to really take control of this situation. I could see them, weighing all the positives and negatives and going along with that angle there. Also, you gotta remember that just because the Warlord system is no longer a thing, the Warlords still are a thing. So the first thing the Marines did upon dissolving the Warlords is taking them out, because it's like they don't want them to turn on them, which that's the biggest thing. It's just like, hey, you think if we dissolve this Warlord system and take away their status, you think they'll be pissed at us and try to fight against us and might actually end up wounding the world government rather than being beneficial for it? Once again, we don't know how this is gonna go, but I'm pretty sure Mihawk, it's like Mihawk wasn't really gonna do much of anything against the world government. He was just chilling out on his own island. You're the ones that picked a fight with Mihawk, so that's your own damn grave right there. Boa Hancock, once again, I think her and her entire island is a lot stronger than what we've seen so far. Buggy, now Buggy could just use his god powers to smite her. Oh my god, wouldn't that be hilarious if Buggy came out and everyone's freaking out like in Buggy's crew, like, Buggy, what are we gonna do? The Marines are here! I'm like, don't worry everybody, I'll use my mighty god Buggy powers to stop them! Buggy, bara, bara! And then at that exact moment, Eneru comes back from the sky! Lightning strike, Raiga, boom! And Buggy's like, holy crap, that actually worked! Buggy, you are great! Eneru comes down, he's like, huh? What's going on here? I don't know. Who are you? He's like, I am God! I'm like, well... Okay, so you're the guardian deity of the Blue Sea, I see, because Eneru doesn't understand anything about Blue Sea culture, so you're the guardian of the Blue Sea, I see, you're their deity, alright, I get you. Maybe we should team up then. And that's how Eneru joins Buggy's crew. Headcanon? Maybe, but I think I laid out a pretty persuasive argument there. It would be so funny if Buggy used his skills. I want to see that now. I want to see Buggy use his immense luck stat and his way to guile people into following him and attempting to use that on Eneru. Figuring out some way to be like Buggy could say something like, "This is my mighty nose. With one press, I could sink continents beneath the ocean." And like Eneru, he's like actually believes it. He's like, because he's afraid of like when Luffy beat him and Luffy was made of rubber. So Eneru thinks that this rubber material might be the strongest damn thing that ever existed. So he might, is that nose made of rubber? In fact, it is. I will follow you. That would be hilarious. But yeah, I don't think the Marines are going to manage to wipe out the Warlords in this one particular instance also. So the Warlords are probably going to, by and large, they're going to escape their respective islands. They're going to get away, and then they're also going to turn on the world government. The Marines, at the 11th hour, not all of the Marines, but a big chunk of the Marines, not just Sword, might also turn on the world government as well. Because the Marines, like I said, yeah, they're under the control of the world government, you know, on paper, but who do they really take their orders from? They take their orders from their commanding officers, okay? So if you have somebody that's like a Marine hero, like Garp, somebody that I'm sure a lot of Marines join the Marines just because of Garp. You know, Garp's like, we've had enough of the world government's tyranny. It's time to launch a counterattack. You know, a lot of the Marines are probably just going to, you know, follow Garp. He's like, okay, are we going to follow the shadowy world government that kind of just controls us, you know, just by sending down orders through a bunch of proxies? Or are we going to listen to the dude that is revered as the hero of the Navy? We're probably going to listen to Garp, right? And Aki Inu is starting to discover how corrupt the world government is, really, so Aki Inu might also make the decision to be like, yeah, okay, it's time. Now, Aki Inu might have different goals in mind, like, yeah, let's wipe out the world government so I can actually take control of everything. That might be not the best intention, but at the end of the day, this all gets like focused on the world government, right? Now, even Dragon stated he doesn't want to get rid of the world government. He just wants to dissolve the Tenryubito system, right? But at any rate, by the end of this story, what's the balance of power going to look like? And I'm going to end it on this, okay? Let's say at the end of One Piece, yeah, the Tenryubito system is completely dissolved. I think that pretty much has to happen. The world government still exists, but they have to have a completely different kind of like ruling body or council or however they're going to do it. The Gorosei have to be taken out. Eam has to be taken out. So it has to be a completely different organizational structure on the government. The Marines are going to be heavily battered. What about the Yonko? Like in this world where you know, the Tenryubito no longer exist and the world kind of gets together in peace for the most part, would the Yonko even exist? Would piracy still be a thing? You have to wonder about that, because it's like, you know, pirates are so prevalent right now because for one thing they're looking for the One Piece, but also because the world government's very oppressive. Like Luffy's like, I strive for freedom. Okay, well, what happens after this is all over with and the world is as free as it could be? Like, the red line falls down, Marijois, this monument to the Celestial Dragons, is destroyed, and be like, okay, anyone could go anywhere they want now. They're not limited by the red line. Geography is everything, all that stuff. The Fishman Island gets relocated to the surface. They live in peace and harmony with everybody. Would there still be a need for pirates? That would be kind of weird in a story all about piracy if at the end of the story it's like, there were no pirates anymore, because Luffy would never stop that. Luffy would never stop being a pirate, no matter what state the world would be in, because piracy, to Luffy, it's just like, that's the ultimate expression of freedom, no matter what, you know? So that, like, there would still be Yonko, but it would probably be very different than the way it's set up right now. And then let's just go along with the SSG working for the revolutionaries for Vegapunk and stuff. So that would be a whole nother thing where maybe the new world government would have like Vegapunk on like the council or something like that, because he's a really intelligent dude, and like Dragon as well. Maybe something like that. I don't know, but that's getting into a lot of stuff that's not until way, way further down. But I just wanted to make a video on this balance of power that we're talking about in One Piece, and how it's looking like that's changing right now, and how it would get to the very end of the story. All right, well, anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Let's end it out on another look at that glorious piece of artwork. Magnifique!